Hello, my name is Ogunoiki Samuel and you're welcome back to this YouTube channel. If this is your first time watching a video here, thank you so much, and if you are a returning viewer, God bless you. I also want to use this opportunity to thank everyone for the support thus far. For those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much. I really appreciate. For those who like the videos, share and comment, I'm very grateful. Also, if you are yet to subscribe, remember to subscribe and click the like button. In this video, we'll be talking about 7 reasons why he is not the one for you. Now, when you take a fish out of water and you put it on the ground, that fish will die. When you take a man out of God and separate them, the man will die. If you take ice, for example, away from the freezer and you put it in room temperature, the ice is going to melt. Now, this is based on 2 things. One is because you have taken that component or that being out of their source. That is, fish was made from water, and so when you separate fish from its natural habitat or from water, then it's going to die. When you separate man from God, man dies. Now, the other component is the fact that for everything there is an environment in which it will thrive and do well. God was very intentional when he was creating the heavens and the earth. And he is also very intentional even about our relationships. So there is a right habitat, there is a right environment for everything to thrive well and survive. Not every relationship is meant for you. Not every guy or woman, as it applies to the other part, is meant for you. A guy can be seemingly good and bad for you. Now, for example, when you take the fish from the water and put it on the ground is not bad, as it were, but it is bad for the fish. When you take ice and put it in room temperature is not bad. For example, I am in room temperature right now, and I'm doing quite all right. But for the ice, it is going to melt. So that means that there is a particular person or particular people for you in which if you're in the right relationship with them, you will thrive. And so that brings us to this topic: 7 reasons why he is not the one for you. Now, before I go on, I just want to make reference to Genesis chapter 24, and that's talking about the story of how Abraham told his servant to go and pick a wife from his hometown or his land for Isaac, his son. And so if you go through this, you'll see some of the things or some of the tips that I'll be sharing here today. So number 1 is if he is not of the same kind. Now, that is just a no-no, as in from the very start. If he's not a Christian, there's no point proceeding, there's no point going ahead. He's definitely not the one for you. Now, remember that the purpose of relationships and even dating is so that we'll get to a point which is marriage. What marriage seems to or hopes to emulate is the relationship between Christ and the church. Not the world and the church, not a guy and the church. So that means the 2 of them have to be of the same kind. The church came out of Christ. That is, the church is of the same nature with Christ. And so if you're going to be with a guy or if you're going to marry a guy, he has to be of the same nature with you. What marriage does is that it joins 2 people. The Bible talks about the fact that he will leave his father's house and be joined to his wife, and 2 of them shall become one. But it would be wrong for you to be one with something that is not the same component as you are. So if you're guessing, if you're second guessing, if he's a good guy, has nice characters, but is not of the same kind, is not of the same faith, is not a Christian as you are. And by Christian, not just by going to church or by birth, religion, but a genuine and born again Christian, then he is not the one for you. Number 2 is if he's taking you back to your past. That is, if he's taking you backwards. Now, the purpose of relationships or anybody coming into your life generally is to take you forward. Remember, when God wants to do something good in lives of people, sometimes he uses men, or most times he uses men. So that is, he uses men to lift men upwards. Also, when the devil wants to do something bad in the lives of people, sometimes he uses men. He uses men to bring men downwards. And that's the same thing here with relationship. If he's taking you back to your past, if he's taking you to where you're coming from, that is, making you do things that you used to do before and you don't want to do again, your past sins, your past habits, and he's not taking you forward, or he doesn't seem to be leading you anywhere, directing you to any purpose or vision, then maybe it's not the one for you, or most likely it's not the one for you. Number 3 is if he is not willing. Now, there's that common saying that you can force a horse or a donkey to the river, but you cannot force it to drink water. Yes, permit me to borrow that here. If he's not willing, then, he's probably not the one for you. If you have to force him to like you, if you have to persuade him to like you, then you may need to persuade him to stay and keep on liking you, and that might be difficult. Now, this does not mean that, girls are not allowed to take the first shot or shoot the first shot, or, give emotion to a guy to make the guy know that, she likes him, or even tell him expressly that she likes him. This is not to negate that fact. That may not be wrong, that may be all right, but I mean, if you have to force him and if he's not willing to partake in that relationship with you, then he's most likely or probably not the one for you. Now again, our perfect example is Jesus Christ. The Bible does not tell us, or the picture of God and us does not come in such a way as if the church is the one looking for Jesus Christ. The church is begging Jesus, please, I want to be in a relationship with you. No, you see clearly how Jesus is so willing about his bride. Jesus is taking care of his bride, building up his bride. He's even interceding on behalf of his bride. And so this all points to the fact that Jesus is more interested in us than we are in him. Now, I'm not saying that a guy must be more interested in you than you are in him, but what I'm saying is that he must be willing. If he's not willing, then he's most likely not the one for you. Number 4 is that he must see you as an answered prayer or a gift from God. Now, this is very important. The Bible talks about the fact that you do not cast your precious stones or pearls to swines. Why? Because they will devour, they will destroy it, and they will even destroy you. Now, this is very important. Why? Because if he sees you as a gift from God, he's going to value you. If a man does not see you as an answered prayer, and by answered prayer, I don't necessarily mean that he has been praying and asking God, give me a girl or give me someone to like, but I mean, if he does not see you as a gift, if he does not see you as coming from God, it affects how he's eventually going to treat you. Now, remember that what makes something value is one, what it costs, how much it costs you to get that thing. And 2, another thing that makes something very valuable is who gives it to you. For example, if my parents gives me something, it may seem of more value to me than if someone I do not know gave it to me. Or if I loved someone, if I'm in a relationship with someone and she buys me a very special gift, and another person who I do not know or I'm not in a relationship with buys me the exact same gift, the person or the gift I got from the person I'm in a relationship with is going to be more valuable to me. Now, if a man sees you, or if a guy sees you as coming from God, as a gift from God, then he's definitely going to treat you well. But if he doesn't see you as so, if he just finds you as a possession, or something, a trophy he earned or something he got, then he may not treat you well, and that may be an indication that he's not the one for you. So he must consider you valuable and a gift from God. If you realize how man was even created, and I mean Eve came out of man, you could see that God brought out Eve from man and gave Eve to man, and man looked upon Eve that, oh wow, this is wonderful, this is nice, what you have made is very good, and he took her to be his wife. And so he valued her based on the fact that he could relate and understand that God gave her to him. So he must find you valuable, and that is very, very important. Which brings us to our next point. Number 5, if he does not admire you. Now, if a man does not admire you, there's a likelihood that he's going to keep admiring other people and like them, and that may be difficult. Also, that may be an indication that, he's not the one for you, because if he is, then he will definitely find a sense of attraction with you. He must see something in you that he admires. Now, this may not be your outward beauty. This may be your character, your godly passion, but he should be able to observe you and see certain things that he likes in you, such that when you ask him the question, what do you like in me? Amongst other things, he should be able to mention some things that are very important that he does like. When we look at the story of Abraham's servant going to get a wife for Isaac, aside the fact that he had prayed to God and asked that certain things or characters be met, when this woman was, doing these things, he stood and he was pondering over her, he was observing her, he was looking at her. And so he didn't just come out of the blues and say, she's the one. That is, the guy won't just come out of the blues and say he likes you, maybe because of your outward beauty. That's only going to be temporal. But he should be able to look at you and see certain traits and characters that he likes in you. He must admire you. If he does not admire you, then that's a likelihood or an indication that he may not be the one. Number 6 is if he cheats, lies, and abuses you. Now, this is a no-no. This is a very big no-no. Now, it may not be that the guy, is totally wrong. It may not be he's not a Christian, as it were, or, he does not love you, as it were. But if he cheats on you and abuses you, lies to you, there's no point advancing in the relationship. There's no point proceeding. There's no point trying to make a marriage out of that. Why? Because it's likely going to replicate itself in marriage. So it's best for you to allow him and let him go and let him deal with that. Now, this does not mean that he will be perfect. He may make certain mistakes which are pardonable, but there are some mistakes that you may want to pardon, yes, but also act with wisdom, and that will include things like cheating and abusing you physically. So if he abuses you or is showing traits or signs of arrogance, anger, you may want to step back and leave him alone. Number 7, which is our concluding point, is if he does not need you. Now, the whole point of relationships, the whole point of marriage is so that man and woman can fulfill a purpose. Yes, so that we can represent Christ and the church, but also so that man and woman can fulfill a purpose. When God created Adam, in the Garden of Eden, he gave him an assignment, and then he saw that man was alone and he didn't like it, and so he created Eve to help him with that assignment. If he does not need you, if he does not have any need for you, if he's not demonstrating any need for your help in whatever it is that he's doing, there may be a sign that he doesn't, or he's not the one for you. Also, if you do not see a role that you can play in whatever it is that he has been called to do, or whatever assignment he has been given to you, then maybe he's not the one for you. Now, by needing you, this does not mean that he should totally depend on your help and not be independent on his own or dependent on God. This does not mean that he should seek you or need you for every single thing in his life, but this just means that you should have a role to play. If not, after a while, the emotions and everything will wear off, and you begin to question or wonder why you are in his life in the first place. But if there is a need, if there is an assignment, if there is something that you see yourself playing a part in his life, then it gives you a sense of meaning and purpose and helps you to carry on. I hope that these points have been clear and we can apply them. You can also read Genesis chapter 24 for reference, and so that you can learn some lessons by yourself. I pray that God will bless us and help us to walk in his will with love and purpose. If this video has blessed you in any way, remember to subscribe, to like, and to share with your friends. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you and have a great time.